The Denko-Roku, Transmission of Light, edited by Keizan Zenji. The first case, Shakyamuni Buddha. The case, Shakyamuni Buddha saw the morning star and was enlightened. He said, I and the great earth and beings simultaneously achieve the way. This Denko-Roku is a collection of cases from Shakyamuni Buddha through Indian ancestors, through Chinese ancestors, up till Dogen, and then Dogen's first successor, Go-Nejo. It was compiled by Keizan Zenji, who is the fourth successor from Dogen. It's Heihei Dogen, Go-Nejo, Tetsugikai, Keizan Joken. So he's the fourth successor from Dogen, and he put together this collection which is called the Denko-Roku, the transmission of light. Interesting. Transmission of light. How do you transmit light? Transmission of light. In the Zen tradition, we have a phrase, Denkai, transmission of precepts, Denbo, transmission of Dharma, would be Denho, but in Japanese you turn it into Denbo. And here you have transmission of light. Now most of us know the word transmission because we have some familiarity with cars. There's a transmission in our cars, and the transmission has to do with transmitting energy. But it's not just transmitting energy in some abstract form, but mechanical energy. So it's the mechanical energy of the engine that's transmitted to the wheels through various processes. And I'll let someone who knows about cars explicate it when you have any questions about that. A transmission of light. Now, light, we all open our eyes and we see light. And we know that light is actually just one aspect of these many things that we call light, waves, particles, that we call X-rays, that we call, and we could go on and talk about the science, but how do you transmit light? Now, we all know very well, if you've ever used a mirror, you've transmitted light from one source through the mirror and then to your eyes, and that's become something that you see. When you see light, there's some, we call it, form of transmission of the light waves from one object, source of light, to another, for us to see it. And yet here, we're talking about transmission of another sort of light. Of course, transmission is an English translation, and the English form of this text, which is originally in Japanese or Sino-Japanese. This was translated by Francis Dogen Cook. And I will also cite another translation by Jiyu Kennett Roshi. Let me say a few things about this, and then we could look at the translation. This was called Case, and then the commentary by Keizan Zenji, who explicates and makes clear and hopefully allows us to get a taste of what this whole matter is. Dogen, Francis Cook, was a student of Maezumi Roshi's. He was also a scholar, and he's published a bit of work on Chinese and Japanese Buddhism, translated quite a number of texts. I knew him in the 70s and 80s when he would often come to Zen Center of Los Angeles, where he studied with Maezumi Roshi. He also taught at a University of California university. I think he taught at Riverside, but I might be wrong on his academic home. So he translated with consulting Maezumi Roshi. So the way this text is there's the main case, then there's what's called the circumstances, and then there's what's called the teisho, or the explication. Let's call it that. The Dharma clarification by Keizan Zenji about this case. So, and fortunately for us, this is available in English, in old-fashioned book form, but also online. And so the case, Shakyamuni Buddha saw the morning star and was enlightened, and he said, quote, I and the great earth and beings simultaneously achieve the way. Simultaneously. This is important. Really, we could say it, I, the great earth beings, simultaneously achieve the way. But in English, we add on and we get this idea that there's three entities, or at least three categories of entities, I, great earth, and beings. Kennett Roshi translated, when Shakyamuni saw the morning star and was enlightened, he said, I was enlightened instantaneously with the universe. I was enlightened instantaneously with the universe. Very, very nice explication and clarification, I think. Instantaneously with the universe, meaning great earth beings. Great earth extends in all direction and all beings. what this is clarifying is what is the nature of this enlightened, this awakened. And that's actually what the commentary is going to help us with. Help us so that we can get the transmission of light of this case of Shakyamuni Buddha, of Keizan Zenji. What is this instantaneously with the universe? So if we are all instantaneously awakened, do we see it? Do we be it? Be this light? In one sense, of course, all of us are light energy. Every one of us. Just in a simple, so-called scientific sense, everything we eat, everything that our mothers ate, that our parents ate, is what was light energy transmitted, transmuted into their life and our life. Every piece of food that you eat is nothing but light that becomes the various forms of our life. Just on a simple, basic scientific sense. Plants don't grow without light. Earth doesn't take form without light. Without whatever this light energy that is the universe, that becomes earth, beings of all sorts, that nurtures our life. So Keizan Zenji clarifies it. The so-called I is not Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha comes from this I. This is the I and the great earth and being simultaneously achieve the way. This so-called I is not Shakyamuni Buddha. Not only he, but also the whole world and animate things are outside of this I and yet come from it. Therefore, when Shakyamuni Buddha is enlightened, we could use the word awakened. This is just the way they translate it. The whole earth and animate things are enlightened at the same time, just as the main rope has every branch rope connected to it. Not only the whole world and animate things are enlightened, but all Buddhas in the triple universe apprehend this is so, apprehend the truth. Apprehend the truth. So, if all Buddhas, past, future, present, are awakened, if all the great earth and all beings, certainly that includes all of us here, or does it? Since this is so, do not think that it was just Shakyamuni Buddha who was enlightened. You must not see any Shakyamuni Buddha apart from the great earth and beings. Even though mountains, rivers, and their myriad forms flourish in great abundance, none are left out of the pupil of Gautama's eye. All of you here are also established in the pupil of Gautama's eye. Not only are you established in it, but rather it is enfolded within you. It is enfolded within you. The pupil of Gautama's eye becomes the fleshy body. It becomes the whole body of each person standing like an 80,000-foot precipice in each. Therefore, do not think that from the past to the present time there was an eye's bright pupil and distinct people. You are the pupil of Gautama's eye. Gautama is the entirety of each of you. Gautama is I, the great earth beings, simultaneously achieve the way, simultaneously are awakened. Simultaneously with the universe, we are enlightened. What is this that they're saying? What is this that we are? See, from the beginning, this is what our practice is, the transmission of light. If I say it another way, the functioning of light, the being light. Otherwise, we think we're someone inside a sack of bones, of flesh, and that there's this world out there that's somehow separate from us. So what is this awakening or enlightenment? Keizan Zenji uses an analogy to help clarify it. He says, just as when a large net is taken up, all the many openings of the net are also taken up. So when you pull up a net, he says, in the same way, when Shakyamuni Buddha was enlightened, the great earth and all beings were enlightened. What is this? What is this light? Transmission of light that this case wants to clarify. In a way, what is this functioning of light that is who we are from the very beginning? Remember, Shakyamuni Buddha saw the morning star. The morning star is Venus, that you see in the sky at dawn often if you have, if you're out away from a metropolis in the United States and you look at the sky in the early morning, you'll see Venus there, and that's the morning star that Shakyamuni saw. And Shakyamuni saw the light from that object, that morning star in the sky, and that's the awakening. That's, if we want to use the word, the trigger. That's the morning star. Simultaneously with the whole universe, the universe of the morning star and of the sky and of the great earth and of all the beings in various realms, instantaneously with the universe, instantaneously, simultaneously, achieve the way. In fact, it's the simultaneous, instantaneous awakening that is achieving the whole universe. It's the whole universe achieving the Shakyamuni Buddha seeing the morning star. Otherwise, if we think of it in other terms, we think of it in object, subject, events, past, future. No, Keizan Zenji makes it clear, all Buddhas of past, future, and present are also awakened, also enlightened. So, transmission of light. So we're just the wheels of the car. When my children were small, there was a song that they used to sing. The wheels of the car go round and round. Excuse my terrible singing. That's exactly the transmission of light is what makes our wheels go round and round. So we're exactly the energy of the universe, if I use that kind of word. But what is this? So, Keizan Zenji is clear on this. What do you call this principle of enlightenment? And I'll go back and forth with the translations of Dojin and Kenneth Roshi. So first he poses the question to help us clarify. This Denko Roku, the text, was originally we'll call it lectures or teishos that Keizan Zenji gave to his students. And you'll see it if we get to the end that he specifically is using this to help them, to help us. So if you are the pupil of Gautama's eye, and Gautama is the entirety of each of us, of each of you, what is this enlightenment? So, what is this enlightenment? Does Gautama become enlightened with you, or do you become enlightened with Gautama? This is what Keizan Zenji asks us, his students. And once you've clarified that, he says, if you say you become enlightened with Gautama, or that Gautama becomes enlightened with you, that's not Gautama's enlightenment. So how is that not Gautama's enlightenment? How is that not Gautama's enlightenment? So he takes us further. He says, if you want an intimate understanding of enlightenment, get rid of you and Gautama at once and quickly understand the matter of I. I is the great earth and beings as and. And is not I as the old fellow. Gautama, carefully deliberate, clarify this I and this and. Both. If you only clarify I and fail to clarify and, you lose the discerning I. E-Y-E. What is this I and or with? What is this I and or I am awakened instantaneously with the universe, or I and all beings of the great earth are together? What is this I and? What is this I and? I and or I and with are neither identical nor different. They're neither identical nor different. They're not one, nor are they two. You, each of us, you, your skin, flesh, bones, marrow are totally and, or totally with. If you understand I and don't realize with, you cannot understand fully. So what is this with? What is this with? I with all the universe, I and all beings of the great earth. What is this? Is your being and Gautama's being two? Neither identical nor different. Keizan Zenji uses a phrase that's a little strange for us. He says, the Lord of the house is I. It has nothing to do with skin, flesh, bones, and marrow, nor has it anything to do with the four elements or the five aggregates, which are the ways of describing the universe, if I say it that way. Ultimately, if you wish to know the undying person of the hermitage of the house, how could it be anything separate from this present skin bag? Thus, do not think of it as the great earth and beings. So now Keizan Zenji is going to give us a little more to help us, hopefully, get a little taste, a little clarification, a little bit. If I say clearer, that's not quite a good word, but since we're talking about light, that's okay. He says, although the seasons change, the mountains, rivers, and great earth are different over time, you should realize that because this old fellow Gautama raised his eyebrows and blinked his eyes, all this is that body standing independently and openly within myriad things. All this is standing independently and openly within myriad things. It brushes aside myriad things, and it does not brush aside myriad things. This is an important hint to keep us from getting trapped in myriad things and getting trapped in other than myriad things. Myriad things is this whole universe we live in, if we can describe it that way. Because he says this, he brings up two Chinese Zen masters. He says, Zen master Fayan says, you cannot say whether it brushes aside or does not brush aside. Then Zen master Dizan, also known as Zen master Jizo in Japanese, what do you mean by myriad things? These are both helping us to grasp for ourselves, to clarify for ourselves, so that we can get a taste of I, the great earth beings, simultaneously achieving the way. I, great earth beings. I, instantaneously with the universe, enlightened. Keizan Zenji was a wonderful guest lecturer here. I interrupted his words a little bit, hopefully helped, but helping is useless. So just take care of it for yourselves. This I, simultaneous, instantaneously, universe enlightened that you are. Thank you.